and welcome to episode 32 of my crafting podcast. This is my fortnightly vlog about knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, yarn dyeing, anything else that seems like a good idea at the time. I'm coming to you from North Yorkshire in the north of England, where I live with my husband, 3 daughters and 3 cats. You can find me on social media. On Instagram I'm Mel Brown Crafting Podcast, and I'm also Creative Escape Retreats. And on Ravelry I'm Funky40, and we also have a Ravelry group for this podcast. So it's going to be a fast and furious episode today. We're right in the middle of exam season. I've got GCSEs, that's the exams at 16 years old, and A-level, the exams at 18 years old here. So we've got children all over the place. We've got washing, this is our bedding here. It's all a bit mad, and dozens of things that need doing, so I'm going to do a quick episode today and hope that I can get everything in. Okay, so let's start off with where are they now? What happened to the projects you've already seen? Well, the memory blanket I hadn't touched, and the Quaker shawl for my daughter I hadn't touched either, so I'm not going to show you those. I hesitate to show you this because although I have made progress, you wouldn't really know. This is the Tunisian ripple shawl. It's in this beautiful Easy Knits yarn. My voice is very broken at the moment. It's just a beautiful yarn, as Easy Knits always is, really. Deeply wicked. Hulk smash, yeah. So it is absolutely beautiful, and I am more than halfway through, but I'm just pottering through it. It's not the fastest growing, it's not the most exciting, and because the yarn pooling is static and it's a repeat and it's the same row again and again, it's not the most exciting thing to get on with. So I'm getting on with it. That's all I can say. I am getting there. I'm going to show you what's left. Still plenty to go. I'm not teaching this until the autumn, I think, so I'm not in too much of a rush with it, but at some point soon I'm going to have to monogamize. Well, not monogamize, probably start scheduling it so I do 10 rows a day before I do any other crafting. So that's my way, one of my ways of cracking on a project I don't want to do. Not don't want to do, because I don't want to do it, I'll rip it out, but if I really want to do it but it's just slow going, then I'll just either monogamize it, which means I only do that project, don't do anything else. That's a really big step, I don't do that very often, or else I just schedule it and I do X amount every day, and that just gets into a rhythm and it just becomes part of my day. And I'm autistic, so things that I do every day are actually very, very comforting, so I might do that fairly soon with that, but not just yet. Okay, so that's work in progress number 3. So the memory blanket, the Quaker, and that one. Got something new. Did you see it? How beautiful is that? Anyway, so the Geek socks. This is a pattern that I absolutely love, and teamed with a beautiful yarn, you really can't go wrong. So it's Claire Nettleship Yarns, and she did this colourway specifically for me for my last retreat. It's her standard sock, but it's got wider stripes than usual for me, for the Geek pattern, and it's got 5 colours, and they're my Creative Escape logo colours. So I was down here when I last recorded, and I'm all the way up here now, so that's the foot. And if you like the way those stripes go with a nice clean look, that's fab. I prefer them like that. So that's what the Geek's sock pattern does. You slip stitches in the first round of the new colour, and it makes that little wavy line. I just love it. There's the other one. And the thing about this pattern, this project, is you are knitting. It's funny because the Tunisian ripple, we knit in the same pattern, the same row again and again. This is all knit stitches. There's occasional slip, but it's all knit stitches, and you would think it would be even more boring, but it's not, because you knit, say, 2 or 3 rows round straight in stockinettes, which you often do with socks, and then you see, the colour's going to change. And then for me at this point, it's a matter of, is the colour change going to come on this side where I'm going to be doing the slip stitches, or on this side where I'm not? At the moment, I prefer it to come on the back, because you can see there is probably one stitch or two when they could go in either, you know, is it the new colour or is it the old colour? And it's a beautiful, it's very short actually, but it's a beautiful mix of the two. And at some point I've got to make a decision, right, that's where the colour changes. And you're working in groups of 4 as well, because you want to slip in the same place with each. When I did my first pair, I slipped in a different place and I didn't like the look of it. So that point is going to be directly above that point, right? I don't want it slightly to the side. So this colour change comes along and you think, oh, right, this is where I've decided to stop it, and you do a different row. You slip 3 and knit 1. I've got these little markers on here that Amanda from Mulan Gifts made for me. Aren't they cute? So I'll mark the thing where I've started, and then I'll slip 3 and then knit 1 all the way across the face of the sock. And then of course I'm just plain stocking it on the back. And then when I come back, when I get to the marker, for 3 slip stitches, I just slip the middle one and knit the other 2. So what that means is I slip 1, knit 3. And then on the 3rd go round with that colour, I just knit them all. And then relax into another couple of rounds of just knitting. And it's just, oh, it's lovely. It really is lovely. I'm so enjoying it. So sadly that's become my kind of take out of the house project in place of the Tunisian, which is why the Tunisian slowed down a bit, but yeah, I might change that. So really, really loving that project. Right, so that was work in progress number 4. Number 5 is less is more. So this is a cardigan jacket type thing, knitted pattern that is designed for using hand spun. And that's exactly what I've done. So when I spoke to you last time, I was just about to start working with the daffodil colourway, which was a Corriedale that I had dyed myself in teal and yellow, and it had gone all manner of greens. It was amazing. So you've seen this and you've seen that, and then I started with the daffodil. Now the daffodil went on for quite a long time. Quite a bit longer than I expected actually, considering it was only 100 grams. They tend to give you a bit more with fibre, so it may well have been 110 or something, but it went on for a lot longer than I expected. Maybe I spun it finer than I have been. So my patterns, my colour changes and everything that I planned were all a bit out of whack because it went on for so long and I knew I wasn't going to have room to fit in what I planned. So I keep changing my mind. I change my mind every 5 minutes with this, which is fun because, you know, just new plans. But when I finally did finish with the daffodil, I went on to this, which is, if you've watched before, you'd have seen when I dyed this, this was the other half of the free yarn that my friend gave me, mystery yarn, when I bought the spinning wheel from her. The first half of it I dyed up here in this colourway. So this is the other half of it, and I called it the fire colourway because not long after I dyed it, my daughter set fire to a dishcloth, and that was quite fun. So it's kind of got the yellow links to that, and it's now going orangey, and I'm just trying to reach for the ball. Bit extreme close up there, sorry. It's going to go sort of more red. So that, I think, by the time I finish that, I think I will be probably finished with the body. I'm going to give you a quick flash of it on because I know I can stand back here. Normally I can't, but if I pop it on, you can see. I've put it on a long cable now so that I can do this. So, in relation to my jeans, it's kind of there. So what I think is if I might do a button band down the front, and then I can just kind of button it to there, and then it can kind of sway out from there. So that's how it's looking. Obviously no sleeves yet. So I figure I'll finish that, and that should be the body finished. And then I'm going to come back up to the sleeves, and they are china blue at the moment, and I'd like to work my way toward this. So I will dye some yarn that's got some of the blues from this, but also some of the kind of purple, oh, pardon me, purpley colours from that. So 100 grams of, I've got some Romney that I might dye. That's a Kent breeze. Yarn that I might dye. Actually, I want them to be the softer ones because it's going to be, could be directly on my skin, couldn't it? Particularly if I'm wearing a short sleeve t-shirt. So I probably want to find the softest that I've got. I've got some BFL. So whatever of those I think is the softest for the top part. So dye something that will basically make the link between this and this. So the purples. Don't know. I haven't actually got any idea of how much yarn. I should work it out by how many stitches there are on the two sleeves together as compared to the body, and see how many inches what 100 grams will do. But that 100 grams of, that's an awful lot. So if we started here with that would get me down past my elbow. So that's quite interesting. So yeah, I figure if I've got 100 grams of the interim colour, and then this 100 grams, it's 92, then that should probably get me to the end of the sleeves, and then I can always dye something else for the end. But that's kind of the plan. Then that would be the bottom of the body, and that would be the bottom of the sleeve, so they'd be, you know, close-ish to each other. So that's my plan, but it may well change again because, you know, I'm adapting. And as I said last time, absolutely loving the fact that I can adapt and think, well, okay, I can just make something for that. Right, I'm a little bit chilly now. Got my cardi back on. This one isn't a hand knit, sadly. Sorry, I must stop doing these massive close-ups. It's a bit scary, isn't it? I think I did one last time as well. Right, okay, so that's the 5 whips that I've got. And that is my knitting and crochet done. Right, on to spinning. So if you haven't watched before, I don't go into these more, the spinning and the weaving in great depth. So if you're just a knitter and a crocheter and you're not really interested in these, don't need to switch off. I'm just an amateur at these very much. So I have made something for my friend Kathy, who I know through the podcast. So Kathy, if you're watching now, you need to jump forward to this point here. Okay, you gone? Good. Okay, so I blended some different yarns, some undyed, some purple, and some really lovely, beautiful kind of mermaidy sea colours that I got from our trip to World of Wool. Which you can see the haul from in episode 30 something, 30, 29, what happened here. So I blended them together and made rolags, which are like kind of like sausagey cigar shaped things that you then spin from. I spun them and then I plied them at the Spinning Guild on Saturday. Navajo plied or chain plied, so there's 3 plies of the same yarn together, and this is what it looks like. Now, I'm a little disappointed with the colour. I'll be honest with you. I was hoping, the reason I Navajo plied it was I was hoping to capture some longer stretches of one colour, and the really beautiful tealy, greeny, blue things have been a bit lost in it. There are some patches where you can just about see it, but generally it's a bit overtaken. So I'm a little disappointed with it. I'm hoping Kathy won't be. But there it is. It's spun, it's plied, it's been thwacked. If you don't know what that means, go back a few episodes. And it is now ready to go. So it's going to be sent off to the US probably tomorrow. I was going to do it a little bit more of a blast to get it dry. And there it is. It is probably a DK to chunky weight. That's pretty much what I do. So there it is. It's the only spinning I've done. I've given back the blending board to the guild, rented it for 2 months. You pay £3 a month to buy something. It's like £150 new, so it's really, really good deal. But I know I want one of my own now because I'm going to start doing that. You know, I talked about that Learn to Spin day last time. I'm going to start doing that. So I'm going to order my new one from Fibre Hut. Fibre Hut, one of my favourite places because they're so thoughtful. So I'm going to order that this week, I hope. Right, that's the spinning. Okay, so let's go on to weaving. I had just got my rectangular loom when I spoke to you last, and I've been playing with my circular loom. So let's have a look at the circular loom first. I wanted to do some placemats for the table, so I wanted to do them in cotton. So I did my first one and it went well in many ways, but actually then I messed it all up. So this is what it looks like at the moment. I was a bit impatient and I messed it up. So it was lovely, it was looking really good, and then I came home from the spinning guild and somebody had given me some yarn. I haven't got it with me, hang on. Sorry. Somebody had given me some yarn and it was just so beautiful. I wanted to rush home and make something with it, and I wanted to weave with it, and the loom was already in use. It had this on it. Now it was done, but I hadn't done things like knotted the ends on and that kind of thing, and I just thought, in my passionate impatience, oh, I'll be all right. So I cut it off the loom and left it with just the warp threads just sticking out like, I don't know, little hairs. And then I started a new weave, and then in the morning when I went to pick it up to sew them in, it was a mess. And when I did finally sew them in, I tried to pull them into firm to give it a bit of structure. It wasn't flat anymore. It was kind of like a bowl. So I posted on Facebook in my misery, and somebody suggested that I block it. So I have wet it and I have pinned it out, and it is more or less flat, but you've lost a lot of the layers in there. Look. So I'm really disappointed, but I'm cross with myself. The technique is fine. And what I plan to do, I've got a whole load of grey mercerised cotton. I was going to make mats for my mum-in-law, and she came up a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot to get her to try that yarn that I'd made for her. But I said, oh, I wanted to make some grey. She said, oh, not grey, brown, but not grey. So I bought some dye, and I dyed a little section of, I wasn't sure because I must have bought the wrong dye. I'm rambling now, aren't I? I must have bought the wrong dye. I wanted it for cotton and I got the synthetic one. It was Rit dye. Anyway, I thought I'd give it a go anyway, so I cut a piece off and it dyed it absolutely fine. It's chocolate brown. So I've now got this chocolate brown dye to dye the whole rest of that grey yarn. It's about a skein and a half, 140, 130 grams to skein up, because it's in a ball. Skein it up and then dye it, and then I can use that. So the pattern, as it were, the technique is fine. It's just that my execution of it was poor and impatient. So we'll see how that goes. And then what I'm going to do, it is not as firm as I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is just crochet with this green, which I've got loads of. I'm going to just crochet a circle in just double crochets, American single crochets, British double crochets, a circle, and then just crochet them together to hold it together. So I'm going to try and make the best of a bad job, but really. So that's that. But the thing that I was so impatient about is this. So this is what this lady gave to me. And normally I would have looked at that and thought, don't know what I'd do with that. But now I started weaving, it was much clearer to me what I would do with it. Let me show it to you in close up. It is acrylic. But it's kind of like fibre, like a roving that hasn't been spun, because look, all the fibres are there but they're not been spun. But with wool you'd have like each fibre would have a staple length, so it'd be say this long or whatever, and they'd all be laid next to each other, whereas this, it looks like it's just all one great big long fibre. Well, all the fibres are the length of the whole thing, and they're just very slightly twisted together. And then that's it. And it's obviously in these beautiful rainbow colours. So it's a really unusual fibre. And there's loads of it, look. So I wanted to weave with it. I knew immediately that I wanted to weave with it. And I had been toying with the idea of doing a project that's made with a whole project is made with the same yarn. So that's what I did. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with it. Here it is. So the warp was with the same yarn as well. So that's the threads that go on that. Oh, hello. The threads that go on that in order for you to weave into is called the warp. So I started off with the warp in that, and then I wove around. Here's the middle bit. Then I did this sumac thing, and I did this, oh, I don't know, I did all kinds of different things. I did these knots at the end, remember to do my knots. And then these edge bits, I was going to sew them in, and I thought, actually, they look like they could hold up on the wall, because it's eventually going to go on the wall of my daughter's bedroom, because it's kind of rainbow LGBT stuff, and my daughter's gay, so she wants this for her bed. I thought, look at this, it just kind of stands out. And then my oldest daughter said, should we fluff them out? So we fluffed them out. Made a couple of mistakes over here, and then oh my goodness, how amazing is that? I love it, absolutely love it. In fact, I put it on Instagram, and everybody else loves it too. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this on Saturday morning. If you're free on Saturday morning, are you close enough to Harrogate to come along and have a play, to get one of these of your own, and bring along scraps of yarn and fibre and fabric and anything you want really, and just have a play. I'm bringing this with me, so whoever comes, we've got, I think there's 4 people booked, but there's spaces for more. I'm going to bring this along, so anybody who wants to can have a go at using it. It's amazing, and it's just the kind of thing that you get from the Cone Exchange, weird and wonderful yarn. So next time I go to the Cone Exchange in Knaresborough, Starbeck, I'm going to see if I can look out for something weird like this. So, right, that is the circular weaves. But I had also just bought my Trimmets rectangular loom when I last spoke to you, and I had just got started on it. Well, I've done some more, and I've just been playing. Oh, so much fun. And I thought I was right near the top of it, and then I just kind of thought I'll just push everything down, and I'm not near the top of it at all, so I've got loads more fun to have. So let me show it to you. This is the kind of thing that is so individual. Do you remember, those of you who've been watching for a while, when I was doing an embroidery buttons type project? I'll put what episode it was up here, and it was just totally random and totally whatever I felt like doing at the time, and it was like nobody else in the world would ever love it. It was just mad. I made it into a bag in the end, but it's just like that, just totally random. And it's the same with this. So this, do you recognise this lot? That's from the Less is More. And in fact, you know, I finished with a daffodil yarn. I've got that much left of the yarn, so that will go in there as well. And this is that lovely soft beautiful yarn that I made my second Quaker shawl out of. This is some random yarn I picked up from somewhere. This is what's left over. I think it's a single that's left over from the yarn I made for Sarah for the swap. And then this is a single of that yarn that I'm wanted to finish with for the sleeves, and that's a single of the yarn that I started the Less is More with. So a single, for those of you who don't weave, it's just when you've just woven one thread. Normally you wouldn't work with that, you'd normally ply it with a second or a third, but that's just a single on its own. You often don't work with it, but I just did, and I put some knots in, and oh, this is fibre. I showed you this last month, some fibre. I just made some, and look, there's more. I can push it down and make some more space. So I'm having loads of fun, and again, you know, I've become such a process crafter. I'm really enjoying just making it, whereas before I'd been like, what can I use that for? And I would never make anything that was purely decorative, because it just seemed pointless. Well, there's nothing much more purely decorative than that. I mean, obviously you could use it as a mat of some kind, but it's acrylic, so you couldn't use it for anything like a hot saucepan. It couldn't be a table mat. It could be a mat for a dressing table or something like that. But it is pretty much decorative only. So yeah, I have definitely become a process crafter. So I do something if I enjoy doing it, with almost blatant disregard to whether it will be useful or not. Obviously there are exceptions. I'm likely to wear this until it falls apart, but this, I don't think I'll put it on the wall. I think it's more likely that I will sew these sides together and put a lining in and make it into a bag. But I was thinking about that when I put these on. I was thinking, if the bag is up the way, then they'll be up that way, which is fine. But yeah, so this is just fun. And did I tell you, on Saturday, yeah, we're getting together at Yarn, etc. So I'm going to be doing another one for me. I think that's in July. There's another one for Creative Escape. So I teach for Yarn, etc. At the shop. Fiona at the shop gets the bookings, provides the materials, and I turn up and teach. But I also teach for Creative Escape. It's my own business. I arrange it all. We meet at the Cairn Hotel or Painting Pots in Knaresborough. And they're either like a 2-hour introduction to or an all-day learn to. So I'm doing a 2-hour introduction to in July. So have a look at the website. All the details are there. This is something random. It was one of those those ribbons that gymnasts use that Belle, my youngest daughter, had bought, and she's used it and she's loved it to pieces, but it's broken now. It's very, very cheap. So I was wondering whether I could just weave with that. It's a little bit dog-eared and a bit mucky in places, so I might not actually bother, but I don't know. It's that kind of thing, weaving, that you just think, oh, I could use that for weaving. Some random nonsense that you found somewhere. I'm going to try a couple of things today. What did I say I would do? I thought I might try weaving with fabric, not just in and out, maybe pulling it out into loops out the front of the thing as well, and also might try crocheting onto the warp. Yeah, Amanda at Moulin Gifts and I have been hatching plans and thinking about mixing crafts like macrame and weaving, macro weave. And crochet and weaving sounds like a really good combination as well, just to add variety and madness. Don't you just love it when you're broken off from doing something you want to do, to talk to a recorded announcement that wants to scam you? Right, so yeah, lots of ideas for weaving. So, what else has been happening? I did my first class at the library. I was talking about this last time. It was meant to be 10 people, but 2 didn't realise that you had to book beforehand, so we ended up with 12, which was not what I was expecting at all. Normally, in my experience, if 10 people book, you'll get sort of 5 or 8 or something, but I got 12, and it was brilliant. We didn't really have enough hooks, but we muddled through. So they all made a crochet flower. It was a brilliant group. Had so much fun. It was really hot in there, and we had a lovely time. So we had so much fun. In fact, we're going to get together again and do a granny square thing to move their crochet on. So I'm doing another one of those. Apparently there was a waiting list for that event, and then there was a waiting list to get on the waiting list. So we're going to do another event in July at Harrogate Library. So it's reaching a different group of people. Not necessarily people who would travel to a hotel and book a day, but people who'd pop into their local library for a couple of hours. And so that was really good fun. This Friday I've got the second Learn to Crochet Day. There's still spaces on that, only 2 spaces on that. And that's a whole day of 10 till 4, lunch included. You get a bag and yarn and a hook, and we basically make a pair of fingerless mitts together. And the weaving on Saturday. So that's what's coming up. I think between now and when I next talk to you, those are all the things I'm doing. I'm also going to do a session for autistic adults at Harrogate Library. Craft session, probably do weaving actually. So yeah, I feel like I've rattled through it all really quickly, which is fine. Might be nice for you to have a shorter session to watch. So, you've got this far, thank you for watching. If you're new and you've enjoyed it, then do please subscribe and click the little bell, then you'll find out when I put new videos on. One more thing to mention is the buzzalong. So there's a group of us who are doing bee-related projects. At least 3, maybe 4 of us are doing the Hotel of Bees by Christina Haddering. I'm doing my second, but there's a couple of people who are not really crocheters who are having a go at it. So that's really exciting. One of them actually started last night, and me and Kathy are going to start next weekend. Adriana, I don't know when she's going to start. Anyway, if you fancy doing the Hotel of Bees, it's a crochet project, then please do. If you want to do something else that's bee related, then do. If you go, so show notes and stuff, click down below here, there's a little link that says show notes are here, and it takes you across to Ravelry. And there's all the clickable links to everything that I've talked about. One of them will be to the buzzalong, so there's a thread about the buzzalong. Click on there and just say, you know, hi, I want to do this project, whatever. There's no starting date, there's no time limit, there's no rules, there's no nothing. If you want to do something that's just very vaguely bee or spring related, you go ahead. But just post in there and tell us what you're doing and how you're doing it, and have some fun. So that's going to start, I would say, yeah, next weekend we'll start in earnest. But whenever you want to get going, you do that. So yeah, clickable links to everything. If you want to hear more, then subscribe. If you enjoyed it, click like. And if you want to make a comment about anything, if there's anything I've said that's been interesting or you want to know more about, or you just want to say something, please do click, just put a comment either here or over at Ravelry or whatever. I always respond to comments, and it is really lovely to engage with you and chat to people who are watching. Right, that's it. I'm done. Happy crafting. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.